Hello, wherever you are in the world today. I'm Grace Kelly, founder of citygirlconfidence.com, and I'm coming to you live today from Puglia, Italy, where I am hosting this webinar from. And today's webinar is all about how to succeed as a new coach or in a new business when you're not a tech-savvy, social media-loving millennial and it's not your first career. So you're in the right place if you've had a career and you're now ready to enter something new, or you'd like to consider doing something new. Okay, maybe you've had 2 careers already at this point, but you're definitely in the right place if you're looking towards a new career compared to what you were doing. You're also in the right place if you're a coach or you'd like to be one, and you're looking to find out about how to grow that and have more impact with the people you're working with. You're also in the right place if you find you lack consistency. So if you're someone who you have a little bit of success here and there, but it doesn't really last out, or you get ideas, but you don't always follow through, or you just can't stick to one thing, this is the place for you, okay? You are all the type of women and all the type of situations that I have been really coaching on and working with across the last 4 years in my own business. You're also in the right place if you have a tendency to hold yourself back because you worry about technology or marketing, your age even, or your appearance. You know, like this is one of the reasons I've opened this call in particular today, ladies, is that what I was discovering and finding were so many fabulous, potentially powerful women just kind of being held back because they were noticing that they had competition in the form of 21-year-olds that love to use internet marketing, or were simply women who weren't following through on their potential because they were afraid to be seen on camera. They're afraid to be seen in general. So you're also in the right place if that's been you. And equally, you are in the right place if you feel confused and busy-minded. You know, I always say to my clients, listen for a feeling on each of these calls. If you feel yourself settling down and your mind is a little less busy, then you've got what you needed here. And you've also discovered that, you know, there's a powerful place of well-being that you can be in more of the time. So if you're feeling busy-minded, take a check-in right now on a scale of 1 to 10. Just take a mental check. How noisy is it up here for you? 10 being really noisy, really confused, really always overthinking, and 1 being totally calm and peaceful and with a sense of clarity today. Hopefully by the end of this call, you will be either somewhere in the middle or you'll be right up there towards the end of the scale where you're feeling really calm and centered and at home. And finally, you're also in the right place if you struggle with knowing how you can help people or you don't really know how to say what you do. So I'm really pleased to have you here today. I'm really pleased that you're engaging this direction. And as I mentioned earlier, we are exploring how to succeed as a new coach or in a new business when you're not tech savvy, right? When you're not really into technology and that type of thing freaks you out, and when you're not social media loving, when you don't really love getting out there and showing yourself and talking about yourself and doing all the things that perhaps right now you think you have to do in order to succeed. And you know, my desire for you really today, ladies, my desire for any of you listening and for those of you that joined the the replay, is that you start to see something new about what's possible for you. You know, when we're in a state of hopelessness, it's very difficult to get any sort of traction or momentum. It's very difficult to even get up and put our clothes on and eat our breakfast when we're in a state of hopelessness. So if nothing else today, my desire for you is to have that feeling of hope come back home. My desire for you is that you come back to center in who you are and what you've got. And that as a result of listening in, and as a result of listening to the replay a couple of times, that you go out into the world and you start to leverage that hope. You start to leverage that well-being that you're tapping into. And you really start to notice an engagement with your business or your career. You know, you start to notice that you're getting more connected to it, that you're actually looking in that direction more. So there is a lot on offer just by being here. And of course, as always, when I host a live webinar like this, I always make available an opportunity for you to go a bit further, to go a bit deeper. So towards the end of the call, I have an opportunity, I have a special offer for those of you that are interested. It's a very unique offer, it's very time sensitive, but I know it will speak to you according to what you hear today and whether or not that's resonating and just how you feel. Okay, so do stay on the line if you'd like to hear more about that and if you'd like to delve in further. But let's get started in relation to our content. And because we've got some really juicy content here today, right? Like we're covering some really good stuff. Everything from the #1 reason now is the perfect time for you to work for yourself and what you've got that millennials or extroverts don't have. And I'm not having a go at millennials, okay? I was born in 1982. Okay, so I'm not having a go at millennials, but I'm noticing that not every millennial is interested in, you know, shining herself out there. Okay, so I want to speak to those of you that really just want to know and find a way to be of service that isn't about needing to be all show all the time. Okay, some of you have that just in you and you run with that and you market that way and you present yourself that way, and that's wonderful. But there's a whole other range of people that's kind of cringy for them to go and get on a video. And I was one of them, right? Like I was one of them. So I want to share a bit more about my story and what happened to me. And hopefully you'll hear something in that and that will have an impact and you'll get something from that. So another part of our content today will be looking at why your lack of technical ability, your insecurities, even your age doesn't matter when you're starting out in a coaching business, in any business really, and what does matter. Okay, so you're going to discover exactly what matters, exactly what's going to move you forward quickest, and exactly what it is that, you know, people are looking for. Okay, and I hope that this will inspire some direction for you beyond looking at what's the latest strategy to do. We're also going to look at something quite groundbreaking, if you ask me, and that is how just being ordinary moves you towards your goal quicker than mastering techniques or doing more self-improvement. I'm going to share with you more on that in just a bit, how just being ordinary. For those of you that are feeling sick at the thought of just being ordinary, I was one of you, okay? And I'm going to share in my story how that changed and what happened and the results that sort of came about because of seeing something new about the power of being ordinary. Finally, I will share with you my graceful formula to landing your first 6 clients as a new coach. Now, you might identify this also as a new business owner, but since I'm a coach myself, I'm more confident in saying that with regards landing clients as a coach. I'm not into formulas and strategies myself very much, but when I look back, I can now see there were certain things that came to me to do that I can share with you today as a type of formula in the hope that you might get something from it and move with it. So, just a quick check-in. How's that sounding? Thumbs up? that the type of thing we're looking for? Great, lovely ladies. I do also have some gorgeous clients here today, some of whom will join us towards the end. If you are able to put your screens on, we love seeing you. If you're shy, you don't have to. But one or two of my clients will come on towards the end, and they'll share their experience of starting to create some success in a new field, whilst not being technically savvy and whilst not being in their first career. You know, these women have had careers, or they've been in another field, or they've experienced something else, and then they've actually come forward and said, I'm not doing that anymore. I'd like to do something new. And they're doing it, okay? They're doing it in their way. So I want you to hear from some of them too, because I know it could be easy to simply say, well, it's okay for Grace, but what about the rest of the world? Is anyone else doing this? So we'll bring some of those lovely ladies on. Okay, so we've gotten through that sort of housekeeping, if you like, and I do encourage you at this stage to switch off your phones. Do come on camera if you can, and, you know, sort of switch off the social medias and put things aside. I always say, as I said at the beginning, if nothing else, listen for a feeling here. And it's very hard to listen for a feeling if you're being distracted left, right, and center. Okay? Be here, be with us. It's part of how you're going to feel better. It's part of how you get a huge aha. It's part of how wisdom comes through with an idea when you're just focused right here now with us. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm going to share a bit about my story and why I really have come to this place where I'm openly sharing that you don't have to be tech savvy or social media loving to succeed as a new coach in particular, or in a new business. And I'll share with you a bit of my story. Those of you that are on the call that hear me regularly, you might not have heard this one before. So this is something fresh potentially for you too. So listen in. I had been a school teacher, and I'd left that job, and I'd made the brave decision to look at doing something new. I didn't know what else I could do, but I was certain that helping people was my game. I loved talking with people. I loved encouraging people, even advising people. And the teacher within me, I guess, loved to teach, loved to share. And so when I had that clarity around, you know, helping others and doing something that perhaps was in a new field, I did have a sense of, how is this going to work out? I've never been in this field before. I know it's called coaching, but I don't think I'm a coach. And what do I have to do to get there? And so I was very much, I was available to enter that world. I didn't have a lot of insecure thinking about myself around, could I coach, could I not coach? But I did have concern around, how was I going to make a living just helping people? Like, how was I going to make a living, you know, doing this work and actually, you know, succeeding with it? Knowing that I had to be online, ladies. I had to be technical to some degree, because I was living at this stage in Italy. I was living in a country where I didn't speak the language. And I was also living in an environment where coaching just didn't exist. So I had some obstacles, as you could say, but essentially what I did was I started sharing my story of leaving my job as a school teacher and setting up a new life for myself in Italy. And I shared that mostly via a very simple WordPress blog. And I mean, I'm so not technical, and I'll give you an example. I once brought my computer, my laptop, into the bathroom and lay in a steaming bath whilst listening to angelic music or something to relax. And when I came out of the bathroom, about an hour later, the whole thing kind of just collapsed. That, like, it didn't collapse, but it shut down. And when I went to my partner and said, you know, what's up with my computer? He said, Grace, where have you had that? And I told him very honestly and very naively, I'd had it in the bathroom whilst I was lying in a steaming hot bath. To which his response was, you idiot, right? Like, you don't bring those things into steaming hot rooms, you know? So, like, to me, like, there was no technology mind at all, but there was, I'd like to write a blog. And who can help me set up a WordPress blog? Because I'd heard that WordPress was the easy option, right? So that bathroom experience didn't put me off, but it did put me sort of in the direction of, oh, Grace, you know, you don't know about these things. You kind of make mistakes over there sometimes. So I had the common sense when it came to starting my blog to say to my dear sister-in-law, who was already working a full-time job, hey, you know how to do blogs. Can you set me up on a simple blog where I can write frequently? And so, bless her, she did. And WordPress was so easy for me because once I got to do it like a couple of times, I was in. And here I am years later, I've not moved away from that. So I got sharing my story, and I just was sharing, I suppose, my life and my transition. And it was really obvious from that point that people were interested. People started kind of showing an interest, right? Leaving comments, getting in touch with regards, you know, how did you leave your job, Grace? How did you get out? But how did you leave your life behind and start again? So there was a sort of an interest there. And roll on a number of months, I find myself really frustrated, very financially dependent on my partner at the time. It was really causing difficulties in our relationship. And I realized I've got to do something with this, you know, but what do I do with it? I've got it. I want to help people. The desire to serve was there. The urgency was there, you know, and what can I do? And I'd been around coaches, I had been following coaches, and eventually I just said to myself, get your own coach. And that's what I did. I actually had someone help me sort of crystallize what I was sharing and what I was doing. And it was so obvious, like it was there all along, but I couldn't see it at the time. I was lost in the frustration of insecure thinking about, you know, money and about how was this ever going to work and how much technology was I going to need to master, and I didn't know how to market and I didn't know how to sell. So I was quite wound up at that time. But it didn't stop me moving forward into what would I like to do. And it certainly didn't stop other people coming forward, which was beautiful, and saying, hey, I like your story, you know, can you help me? Hey, I like what you're up to. Can you show me? And so there's something very powerful, ladies, in just, you know, getting into sharing that story, as I say to my clients so often, getting into however low tech you do it, getting into sharing your experience. Had I been living in a country where I spoke the language fluently, I don't know if I would have set up a blog. I might have gone to events. I might have hosted my own events every week instead of doing something online. But as fate had it, online was where I had to kind of get myself connected to the world again. So I'm on this journey. I'm having great success. I'm having regular clientele come to me because I'm sharing regularly. I'm telling people about, you know, leaving their jobs. I'm telling them about starting something new. And I'm confident in it because A, I've done it, B, it's my experience, and C, I'm just I'm just really having that desire to serve. And I'm not attached to whether or not it works out. So things were really in flow. And over time, I had a steady stream of clientele coming to me. And I even crossed a multiple six-figure mark and continued to do that consecutively. Now, for whatever reason, I somehow fell into the illusion that I needed to master more, that I needed to learn more, that I needed to get a grip on this big thing called marketing and social media and selling and all of these things that I was being advised were where the power was at. Now, keep in mind, I already had a steady flow. Things were coming to me without all this technology, without all this marketing. I was doing a simple blog. I was following ideas that came to me and I was running with those ideas. I wasn't getting lost in, is this going to work? Should I do this? Does anyone want this? I was running with it. I was highly engaged with very little investment in the outcome. Very important factor here, ladies, right? Highly engaged, very little investment in whether or not it works out. And these are two kind of areas that I really help my people with, right? How do we get you highly engaged and less invested in how it works out? Most people are highly invested in how it works out, and they might be highly engaged, but then they're living life completely stressed and tensed and totally knotted up, and they're wondering why nothing's working, right? So here I am living in this life of highly engaged, little investment in how it works out. And I kind of then find myself on this path that I agreed to that was all about mastering marketing, all about mastering technique, all about mastering communication. And it was fun, but if I'm really honest looking back, it knocked me off course. What happened to me then was I started feeling exhausted. I started spending more time working in the area of, how to, and less time serving my people with the ideas that were coming to me. So I became less engaged and more invested in the outcome, right? The arena I was in was highly competitive. The outcome really mattered, okay? Now, that was innocent. I got caught up in the storm. Sometimes we do that. But what I learned was that sometimes we can go down a rabbit hole with trying to figure out the best way to capture new leads, capture new people, present ourselves, and we lose that very wisdom, that very part of us that is doing the engaging for you. Like the part of you that gets you engaged with the direction. And it's such an innocent mistake. Now, I'm not saying there's not a need for marketing and learning how to do these things. There, of course there is. But I believe, having had my experience and with all the people I'm working with, that actually what really, really matters, what truly matters, is that we're constantly connected to that source of engagement, that we're constantly tapped in to that part of ourselves that is giving us the ideas, that same energy that turns acorns into oak trees and embryos into babies. It's trying to get us to where we want to go. And that part of ourselves is so underestimated in today's world of business. And the other thing, the step-by-step, the how-to, the strategy, like people are trying to get that to save their ass. And they're forgetting that actually over here, there is something so powerful that has you highly engaged without you even waking up and saying, oh, I better get engaged with my business today. It's just that thing within. And so for me, it's no wonder I got exhausted. It's no wonder I got lost along the way. Like, it's no wonder I started feeling like I wasn't really helping people. Because ultimately, what I find myself doing was moving away from the message I mean and into advising people on how to build a multiple six-figure business and do really well at it. Now, that has meaning, but that was not my message. That was a result of me being connected to this powerful wisdom within and following it through to the point that a multiple six figures consecutively was available. Right? So I had to make a very brave decision on my journey, and I had to take myself off that incredible wheel, if you like. And it was scary. I was scared because I knew that I was sort of walking away from something I knew people would pay for, from something I knew would work, and from something that I had invested so much money and time into, right? And so when I took myself away from it, I just retreated. Like, I retreated for a while, and I had to come back home to grace. I had to come back to center. I had to find that message again. I had to look for that flow. I really had to disengage to get engaged again. And that's what I did. That's what came to me to do. And so I didn't have advisors. I didn't have anybody in the background. Nothing was happening. It was just me, myself, and I again, right back to where I had started. And during that time, you know, of retreating, it brought me back home. It brought me back to center. My mind started to quieten down and ideas started to come forth. And I started to just find myself getting back to being engaged with, let's try a bit of this. Okay, that doesn't work. Let's try something else. Okay, that's working. Let's go more in that direction. And an incredible momentum started to build again, right? Didn't see it at the time, but looking back, we can always see these things. An incredible momentum started to build. And that momentum took me to a space where I ended up meeting a person that would become my next mentor. I didn't know it at the time. But my soul brought me to a space where I had this incredible experience and met this incredible mentor who was talking about the very message I needed to hear and what I was about, the very thing I was being sort of sidetracked from every time. And as he was speaking those words, it became really apparent to me that this person could help me, that this was the next step. And so I went on a journey. I really went on a journey. I had like 2 years of exploration in a new direction. And during that time, something very scary happened to me. And that was, I began to see that I could no longer sell what I'd been selling. I saw something new about the nature of life, and particularly about myself. I saw that the only thing that was ever getting in the way of my experience was insecurity. And as I began to see that deeply about myself, as I began to see that, hey, Grace, you're actually not the confident one. You're actually kind of ordinary. You know, you're actually really insecure at times. then the emergence of a truer self came forth. And I began to say, I can do it. I can point people in the direction, but I am more interested in helping people get reconnected to that place within, and to get reconnected to the message they truly mean, and to bring that out into the world, way beyond their insecure thinking, as a means to creating success. And so my business kind of went through a collapse, and then a resurrection and emergence into something completely, what feels completely new and completely aligned. And so today, you know, I'm working with women in the forms of groups that I wasn't doing before. I'm working with women in individuals, in intensives and group intensives, doing all sorts of work and really helping them reconnect to this place of well-being, this wisdom within, and helping them leverage that as a form towards their success. Because I really believe when we come from that, everything falls into place. Now, does that mean marketing and selling comes into it? Of course, right? But when we are addressing marketing and selling and the latest strategy on its own, sure, we can have success, but we'll find sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And we don't have impact. That was the biggest thing I saw for myself. People were starting to come to me instead of me going out looking for them yet again. And people were starting to feel impacted, because as I went deep on my exploration on well-being and wisdom, their well-being and wisdom started to come back up too. So every time I was with someone, there was an incredible sense of service and presence. And with that, I'm seeing today that actually you can transition into something new. Even if you're in business right now and you've been doing the same thing for years, I'm seeing that the emergence more and more of who you truly are is what works. That's what really matters. And so when we look at our content in particular, you know, this might not really be in order, ladies, but you know, if we look at what I was saying about why your technical abilities and your insecurities and even your age don't matter, and what really does, you know, what I'm saying here is that, you know, what matters is that you bring forth a message you mean, that you bring forth that part of you that is completely connected to what you're doing. Like when I saw what I saw about, you know, insecurity, I knew that my message had evolved way beyond helping people make 10K a month. It's not to say that they won't do that and that we don't look at that, but it's just to say that that was like, it evolved beyond that. So what matters is that you are putting out in the world the message you mean, not the message you think will work out or the message that has worked for you thus far, but you know in your heart that that's not where it's at anymore. Not the message that someone else tells you is a good message, but the message you mean. And what truly matters within that is that that message does the heavy lifting for you. You don't have to push and struggle when that is there, because people feel it from you. They forget your words, but they remember the feeling they have when they're with you. I was with a beautiful client this morning on Zoom here from Hawaii, and I said to her, gosh, you know, I've never met you before. And, you know, how did you find me? And she said, I watched a couple of your YouTube videos. Now, again, going back to technology, I've only started doing YouTube videos in the last few months. I don't know how you do the channel thing yet, but I do know how to upload a video to it. So it turns out I about 3 or 4 videos up, and she said that she just knew she had to purchase my program that was on offer because of how she felt after she watched each video. And I said, well, can you remember what I said? And she said, oh no, I don't know what you were saying really. I just know that every time I got off the video, I went and I took action, and I wasn't doing that for months. So like, you know, there's something in that. There's something powerful about, wow, we don't have to get it all perfect, get it all right. We don't even have to know how to do the YouTube channel. We can show up and talk about what's most meaningful to us. Talk about what we've seen to be true, and have impact as far away as Hawaii or wherever else. You know, I've got women here today from Germany and Belize and Vermont and Canada and Australia. Like, there's so much in the sharing, and the sharing is also part of what matters. Now, so many women I work with, they kind of come to me and they're all caught up about, well, how do I share? And I've got this idea, but then what I do is I start thinking about all the ways that I'm supposed to get that idea out, and then I don't do anything. Well, you know, God bless you. That's your form of getting lost in insecurity, right? I'm saying if we can move away from that bit and go back to that source of I've got an idea, and stick to that source of I've got an idea, then we will start to find that as we look in that direction, we start moving more and more towards engaging with it, as opposed to winding ourselves up with why we can't do it, and we still don't know how to master the technology anyway, so maybe we shouldn't do it. And you know, anyway, all of these 21-year-old millennials are already doing that. Who wants to hear from me? And it's like, notice where you're operating from, right? This very wisdom gives us ideas. This very place within us gives us ideas. And then we kind of go, nice idea, and then all the insecure thinking comes up about why we can't run with it. So there's something really about noticing the idea and then letting it come to you, how to bring that out into the world. And sometimes it will mean getting help with marketing it. Sometimes it will mean getting support around, you know, launching it. Sometimes it will just come to you like it did for me today. You know, just, you know, switch on your phone, Grace, because you know how to do that, and press live because you also know how to press that button, and then do a live Facebook to your group and invite them to the webinar. You know, so there's something powerful in that. Like, you don't have to go and figure it all out. Your job, especially at the beginning in this new business direction, is to stay engaged, is to receive the ideas and run with them, act on them, stay engaged with the ideas, and get less engaged with your insecure thought. So I'm just reflecting here on just some of the content, just to be sure that, you know, you get what you need. I'm gonna come back into that in a second, but I want to do like just a quick check-in. You know, like, does anyone want to comment, share, ask a question, object, leave the call? Like, does anybody want to? Is anybody wanting to say anything? And if you are, you can unmute your line, or you can put your hand up if I can see you, and if not, I'll just keep moving with the content. But it's quite a lot today, so I want to check in. anybody got something to say? Hey, Claire. Claire is here. All right, Claire, I've unmuted your line, sweetheart.
Hi. Hi, Grace. It's just, and everyone, just to say this is really lovely. I love the clarity of coming back all the time to that idea that's come out of nowhere and is so unique to us, and then just seeing how to bring that into the world. And yeah, I've never heard it described like that. It's really nice, and that the only thing getting in the way would be the insecure thinking. And there's always a way we can bring out the idea always that we know to do. Yeah, thank you. It's really nice.
Thank you, Claire, and thanks for being here.
I've got 2 5-year-olds doing Star Wars games in the next room. So
that's cool. It still works. Thanks, darling. Yeah, there is something really about how cool it is. And Denise, I'll come to you now, sweetheart. There is something really cool, as Claire says, about, you know, that it can go that way, that it can be that way. And so, yeah, there's an element of just sticking with the ideas, ladies, and letting it move from there. Denise.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to just briefly say what my experience has been, because this is why I started working with Grace, both in a group program and privately this year. Is, you know, I had a business before and I approached it so naturally, and I've shared this with you, Grace, but I just, like, you know, it was a totally different business than what I do now. And it just was organic. And I was, you know, how you expressed it so well today, I was very connected, and I was not connected to the outcome. I had big dreams, but it all just happened because the way, you know, better than I could have imagined it, because I was so connected to my work and I loved it. I was very passionate. And while I'm very passionate about what I do now, I, you know, went to that place that you talked about, Grace, where, you know, I got all wrapped up in how I was supposed to do things. And it really didn't suit me well. I was supposed to do marketing this way. And it's just amazing to me. Like, I've been trying to get back on track for so long, and you're just really the only person of all the different people I know in the coaching world. You're the only person talking about this. And I feel like I have my finger on, if you will, you know, like I'm aware of what's out there in the marketplace. And yet it's just like, you're the only one that I hear talking about it to this depth and so openly. And I just so appreciate you for that, you know, and to share your own experience around that. And so, as you know, I still have to get my stumbling blocks lie. And like, I know the truth of, like, just be yourself and follow those, you know, those pieces of wisdom like you spoke about a minute ago, and that leads you to where you want to go. And so my struggle is just continuing to get out of that insecure thought, because I think I got wrapped up in it for so long that it's just, I have to form this new habit, I think.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing, Denise. That's so sweet of you. And I am going to talk a little bit more about that insecure thought piece, you know, because it's, you know, we think we have to get out of it. And I don't know about you, but for me, like, as much as I try to change my thinking, that shit still comes back. Okay. But here's the difference now. The difference is that as we start to see that we're experiencing thought in the moment, right? Just thought in the moment. That's what we're experiencing. Just thought in the moment, and then it's gone. Thought, gone. Thought, gone. Thought, gone. What we do is we go, thought, oh, thought, uh-oh, thought, and then we end up spending the rest of our lives lost like this, right? If we can start to see, oh, okay, I'm getting insecure here in the moment. I don't know why I'm doing this. This is what's coming to me. It's sort of, you don't have to be worrying about what you think about. You know, that's just thought on top of thought. And what I saw to be really helpful was that, you know, the objective wasn't to get rid of my insecure thinking. The objective was just to know when I was getting really lost in it, and to wait until I'd settled down before I made any sort of forward movement. Not to try and get forward movement when I'm lost in a storm about myself or money or something else, but just to kind of notice, oh shit, Grace, that's where you are again. All right, hold up, retreat, back off, because nothing good can come from this, right? Like, wisdom will still come through, but there's something about seeing it and retreating away from it, not giving it all of the power, and not turning it into something you have got to get rid of, ladies. You know, because then we're identifying with a problem. Oh, here's another problem to fix. You know, oh, here's another issue. It's like, as long as you're alive, you're going to experience thought. And quite a lot of that thought might even be insecure thought, depending on what level of sort of whatever place you're at right now. Okay? And if we can start to catch when we're operating from there, then we can start to retreat a little bit back from it. And we can take our time to let wisdom come back through and show us the way. So one of the points, Denise, I don't know why it came to me, Denise, when you were talking, but one of the pointers that sort of started to evolve was this idea of just being ordinary, right? Like this kind of radical thing. Like, so many of us spend so much time trying to be someone, and I was one of them. You know, I had to be the city girl, had to make the multiple six figures, had to have the best website and the best photo shots and all of that. And it got exhausting. And then I remember as I was delving into this direction and this journey, I heard Sydney Banks, an enlightened Scottish welder who was the originator of the three principles. I heard him say at the end of one of his recordings, oh, just be ordinary. And it kind of like got me here. On the one hand, I thought, no way. And on the other hand, I was washing the dishes. And I thought, oh man, I get to love washing the dishes today. Oh man, I get to love cleaning my house. Oh, I get to love just like sort of not needing to be somewhere else, doing something else, being with someone else. When for so long, I fell into the insecurity that I shouldn't be doing what I was doing, be it washing dishes or, you know, babysitting, because I should be working on my business instead. So a lot of the enjoyment of life was taken away because ordinary tasks were off limits. Ordinary tasks were a luxury. I should be over here working on my business and my marketing and my this, that, and the other. So this thing about just being ordinary has so much power in it because see, what I really mean by that, what I mean, not what Sydney Banks means, but what I mean is that you just get to be you. You don't have to try and be someone else to get somewhere else. And not being you, that kind of just living life day to day, doing your thing and seeing what comes to you, will move you along very quickly. Now, for some of you, you're probably already there. For some of you, that's not news. For those of you that are really constantly striving to make something happen, just be ordinary. you know, and see where that takes you. I can tell you the most extraordinary things have been created by me simply being less full of bullshit, just being ordinary. And you know, I have compassion for myself. I'm not berating myself because I didn't know it at the time. I was so lost in this world of insecure thought about who I had to be and what it had to look like and where I had to get to by the time I was 30, that, you know, nothing else looked real to me. That was me being truly me that time. But when I look back now, I can see, oh, poor Grace, oh man, she was striving. She didn't realize that people would actually come forth with her just being her, with her just saying it as it is, with her just sharing her experience. And for those of you that, you know, you're kind of like, well, what will people say? Will they buy it? Do they want it? Like, step away, retreat away from that, and just come out with something really simple and ordinary. Let it be ordinary. Live your life. Know when to look away from your computer. Know when to look away from your business. So, kind of, you know, like, as I was putting this call together, I was sort of looking at why now is the perfect time for you to work for yourself, and what you've got that millennials don't have, you know, 21-year-olds or whatever. And I was looking at it, was inspired by two things. So I want to share it with you to give a sense of hope here, is that I was home recently in Ireland, and I was reading in the Irish Times about many of Ireland's entrepreneurs being over the age of 50, and that the average age for an entrepreneur is emerging at around roughly 39 years old. And so as I was reading this, I was thinking, wow, you know, what you've got that is much stronger and more powerful than someone just starting out in their first career as a coach, is that you've got that wealth of experience. You've got that trust factor, right? You've got that ability to be engaged with humans. You're not so full of yourselves, right? Like you've lived in a world where you've had to probably have a career in something else. Some of you have raised families. Some of you have been in relationships long enough. Like, you've got that, just that gold of strength and experience that, frankly, you know, those starting out for the first time that are maybe brilliant at mastering techniques and have very fast brains and are very technically minded, because, you know, that generation is, like, you've got the human factor. And I wanted to share that. And I see it in each of you as I work with you. And I see it in so many of your shares, you know, whether it's in a blog post or just something you put on Facebook. You're able to be vulnerable, and you're not trying to be somewhere by the time you're 22. So I want you to hear that, because I think a lot of women who have had a career and are going into this coaching as a new career, they're kind of getting a bit lost with this idea that they must have to be brilliant at all these things, and very social, and very on social media, and very, you know, technically minded. Like, you've got what you need in this business, and that's the human factor. You have to like people to be in this business. Like, I don't care if you master the greatest marketing and selling techniques in the world. If you don't like people, if you're not a people person, this isn't going to work out. And what I see in all of you, and you know, please forgive me, I don't want to generalize in terms of age and everything like that, but what I'm saying is what you have that millennials don't necessarily have is you have that humanness. You've lived that life, you've got that experience, and we trust you because you're a little bit older than a 21-year-old, right? Like, that's not to take away from the 21-year-olds, but we kind of get a sense of, yeah, I think I could listen to this person. So I wanted to share that because that was kind of like why now is the perfect time for you. You know, like, you're not going to go back to another career, most of you. This is it. This is what you want to do. The average life expectancy is supposed to go to the age of 90 by 2050. That means, ladies, we're going to be working longer, right? So we've got two options. We can work in a workforce and go back to that life, or we can have our own business, which I think we're all up for, and actually decide when we're going to retire and decide, you know, that we're going to do something we love right up until the end if we have to. So there's something pretty cool about that. There's something really fun about the age you're at and the stage you're at right now, and the fact that, you know, now is the time. There's loads of room for you, and there's loads of people looking for you and your experience. So to complete the call, I do want to make sure that you get the sort of the graceful formula that I promised. And it's not rocket science. You've heard probably a lot of it here today, but my formula to sort of landing your first clients, it's kind of comes down to this, you know, have a message that you mean. Okay, don't put something out there that you're insecure about, or you're iffy about, or you haven't really seen to be true. Okay, have a message you mean, and it will do the heavy selling for you. Okay. The second piece is know your story. So I have shared a bit of a different story with my audience today. You know, we all have different stories to share, but I always know what aspects of my story to share, what's relevant, and what not to share. Like, it would make absolutely no sense for me to talk to you today about how when I was 18, I moved to Dublin and, you know, experienced, you know, a sort of a teenage crisis. That has no relevance here, okay? So know your story, know what aspects to share, okay? Share it regularly and share it in a way that doesn't scare you. People come to me all the time and they're saying to me, Grace, you know, I want to do this, but, you know, I can't say that, and I can't get on the camera, and I don't want to, I'm not a writer. And I say to them, well, don't. Like, don't try and share in a way that you're afraid. I did not come on camera for the first 3 years of my business. In that exploration where I became a little less self-conscious and a little bit less so self-concerned, what emerged from that was I started to show up on camera more. I started to care less about my awkward teeth and my bad hair days, okay? It was just a natural emergence. So for the first 3 years, I ran my business behind a blog and $2,000 photo shoots. I can tell you it's less expensive to run your business being yourself, okay? But if you need to do it in a way that, you know, doesn't scare you, all right, go for it. Just get sharing the story. Be it a blog, be it a Facebook post, be it at an event, be it with friends, be it in a coffee bar. The amount of times I've been in the USA and ended up in conversation about some aspect of what I do was incredible. None of you living in a country where you speak the language have to worry about whether or not you should go online and whether or not you're going to get clients, okay? You have access to your people. You speak the language. All right. You don't even have to go online if you don't want to. So get sharing, share it regularly. And stay engaged. You know, part of this formula, if you like, is that you stay engaged. One of the big things I see is that people, again, they lack the consistency at times because they get a little bit engaged and then they scare the life out of themselves and then they disengage. And then they get a little bit engaged again and then they scare and then they go back. So try and stay engaged. Like, whatever that looks like. For me, that engagement is, you know, following up with people. It's coming on a webinar like this today. It used to be just doing a blog regularly. It's a Monday morning mantra to your inbox. You know, it's kind of just letting you know where I am in the world. Stay engaged. And I can promise you from there, momentum is created. And let your ideal client emerge and spend time with her. You know, the amount of people that I work with that they're trying to figure out their ideal client, right? Like, if you can afford to only work with one person, well, that's wonderful. But if you're starting out, you probably can't afford to be so choosy, right? So have an idea of her. But I can promise you, as you share your journey, she will show up. Like, she will come to you and say, hey, can you help me? And you'll see that a trend is emerging. You will see very quickly that actually you have 6 clients that all are experiencing a similar thing, that are all having a problem with a similar thing. So let her emerge and spend time with her. And when it's the right time, make her a great offer that she can't resist. Simple as that. Let her know what you got. Don't complicate it. Don't turn it into some big system. Let her know what you've got and let her just get engaged with you very gently, very easily, and take it from there. Okay? Like, that's my formula. When I look back at how I've built the business, one client at a time, not saying you can't have 10 at once, but one good piece of work at a time has led to the emergence of this global client base that today allows me to continue to live this life and not be in this constant state of, you know, burnout or struggle or always having to work on my business. And so there's something about just really that engagement is what counts. That's really what counts. And staying in that level of well-being that resides within you, because that's where your invisible marketing is. People feel it from you. Okay? Your greatest marketing asset is your level of well-being. And as that rises up back to surface more and more, then that will have an impact with the people you're working with. Theirs will rise up too. And they'll remember the feeling and they'll want more of that feeling. Because that feeling is our true nature. It's who we really are. Peace, clarity, and well-being when we're not lost in the content of our minds. So I really hope I've not overwhelmed you today. You know, please feel free to write me an email if you're feeling like, Grace, what was that? I felt there was a lot of content, but I just had so much to share. And I still have a special offer to share. But before I do that, I want to check in with you. I want to, what's coming up for you as you hear this? Are you having any ahas? Are you feeling any more hopeful than when you started? Are you feeling any calmer than when you came on the call? Or have you got a question for me? Now is the perfect time to just raise your hand or unmute your line. Oh, Mandy, did you want to say something, darling? Oh, can't hear you.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say that when I was trying not to be ordinary, I really got lost in being technically savvy, and I'm not technically savvy. And so that kept me in my fear and in disillusionment, and I was buying program after program, and I got to a point where, am I studying to be a graphic designer, or am I being a coach? Because it just became too much. And in the ordinariness of who I am, that's where I found my power, because I started to hear people saying and resonating with me, I want to be like you. I want to do what you've done. I want to walk away from everything you knew and experience a simpler life.
Yeah.
And that is what, when I really got what meaning my message is, it's just being me at my most ordinary self.
Beautiful. Yeah. How cool is that?
So thank you.
Oh, thank you, darling. I am gonna bring Mandy back on in a little bit, because Mandy's like one of our lovely clients who was doing something else and is now doing this work in a really fabulous way. So thank you for sharing that. The ordinariness of it all is again, it's the invisible marketing. It's why you don't have to change. And actually what you said, Mandy, about your experience of, am I a graphic designer or am I a coach? Well, that was the stage I came to too. I was like, am I learning to be a marketeer to teach people how to market, or am I a coach? Because I got confused too for a while. So I love that you've come home. That's brilliant. Anybody else want to mention or share or question or object? Lorraine?
You unmuted me. Hi. I just wanted to share that while you were talking earlier, Grace, I just had tears streaming down my face. Just so moved that you brought me back home to myself again. And when that lovely woman with the last name of Diamond was talking, just the tears were coming to my eyes, because I just love her. You know, I just love all women, and I just love to see them come into their fullness, and whatever that is, just for them to be happy and to enjoy their lives. And I just wanted to thank you for that, for just, again, bringing me back home.
Oh, you're welcome, honey.
My eyes again, and
yeah.
Just that ordinariness, you know, just Lorraine.
Yeah, it's radical, isn't it? Thank you, honey. And I will bring Lorraine back on in just a little bit too. You know, and it could be, you know, it's like that feeling that Lorraine is describing, you know, like that's what's going to drive her engagement with her business. That's what people are going to pick up on far quicker than a really great 6-sentence elevator pitch. You know, like, I know Lorraine's going to be okay, because I know that she's operating from that place of, this is what I want to do. This is who I really am. And so, you know, for those of you that are listening, if you'll bear with me another few minutes, like, you know, this is why I want to open the opportunity up to you. I want to open an opportunity up for you to really delve into more of this self with a capital S, that this part of you that is the part that does the engaging with the business, that is the part that drives the whole machine. And is the part of you that you can continuously rely on like marketing and Facebook ads, right? This part of you that you can rely on to come up with the ideas and to move you forward with the ideas and to just bring you home, right? And so in looking at how do we get more of that, or do more of that, or have more of that, I want to open up the opportunity for you to go deeper, and for you to actually get fully engaged with this part of yourself that is operating the whole business, whether you can see that right now or not. Okay. And so the way I am proposing we do this, well, there's a couple of ways, but my initial way is to go really deep, and to go really deep and to have big impact and to get the best of this. I am going to be running a 5-day retreat here in southern Italy on the 11th of September. And for 5 days, we are going to literally be going on this exploration around how to work well and live well and engage with our purpose and our business in a more consistent way. So during those 5 days, we will literally be, going further into how do we get more of this experience of true self in our business? How do we leverage wisdom as a means to success? How do we leverage our confidence and this part of ourselves that always knows what to do, so that we can create momentum, as opposed to getting a little bit of momentum and then falling back, or getting a little bit and then sort of stopping ourselves or scaring ourselves. So a big part of the retreat is the sort of in-person, high-touch, low-tech coaching that you do with me on everything around your business or your career or what it is you're trying to create in the world. And I can't think of a deeper way, a stronger way to support you than to actually invite you here to experience where I reside and where I basically create and birth everything. And so those 5 days are coming up on the 11th to the 15th of September. It is a group, it's a small group of women, and we are all looking at energetically engaging with our direction, and you'll really walk away knowing exactly how you'd like to engage, not just feeling ready to engage fully, but you'll walk away knowing exactly how you'd like to engage, and how you'll be sharing that message you mean, and how you'll just be in your business more consistently, as opposed to kind of in it and out of it and up and down, depending on your mood or depending on your insecure thinking at the time. And so some of our past retreat participants, that were here before, they've gone on to create flourishing business contracts. They've gone on to build houses in the Caribbean, one of them did. They've gone on to host their own retreats. This would be a particularly powerful experience for those of you that would like to work in this way. Those of you that would like to bring together a group in a foreign country, you're getting a real insight into how does this operate. And of course, having my support in whatever direction you would like. But if running retreats is a way for you to get engaged with your business, then this is a lovely way to experience. So more than anything, this opportunity will bring you back to center, and you will feel that well-being and confidence rise back up. That's where your impact comes from with your clients, and that's where your sort of momentum comes from in relation to actually getting, traction with new opportunities. So it may seem like a luxury to take yourself off to Italy and hang out with me and a beautiful group for, getting coached for 5 days, but the reality is at this stage, if you are keen to get out of whatever cycle you've been in with regards what you're up to and get into a full engagement with this business direction, and to do that now as opposed to next year, then this really is the opportunity for you. I always say to my clients, can you afford to stay stuck in insecurity any longer? Can you afford not to be well for your own clients? Can you afford for this new direction not to work out? And if the answer is yes, don't worry, this isn't for you. But if you are in that space where it's like it's time for a deeper exploration, it's time for help, then this is a way that I can support you with really a very unlimited amount of coaching where you have access to me for all of that time. And not only that, but you get to experience a transformational travel and coaching a holiday that you probably never had before. And what I mean by that is that I will be inviting you also to my hotspots. So I'll be, we won't just be coaching, we won't just be doing that element. We'll also be going to some beautiful places that I will have the pleasure of taking you to, and you'll be experiencing this part of Italy that is very unspoiled and extremely in demand. But at this time of year, we'll have our own private luxury villa where you'll hang out and you'll get to simply do the work and enjoy yourselves. And in the evenings, we will visit different hotspots around the region. On top of that, we have lovely things included like a wine tasting and a spa experience in the world leading spa. Madonna just had her birthday here, so we were all very hyped up about the fact that, that's exactly where we're doing our spa time. And then there will be a style experience too. So I'm bringing together the best of what I've got and what I love and what I know will serve you, and sort of packaging it up here into a transformational coaching and travel experience like no other. So of course, this type of offer is not going to be for everyone, and not to be exclusive as such. It will require that you and I speak first and that we have a brief interview, in the sense that, we want to make sure that you're the right fit for the group and the group's the right fit for you. You might be loving this idea, but it might not be what you need right now. So I always prefer to speak to you first. And the way that you can do that if you're interested is by emailing me on grace@citygirlconfidence.com with the subject line retreat. Some more info really is available over on citygirlconfidence.com/sales, SALES /change your life. And as a recap, what you're getting here is 5 days of unlimited coaching with me. And you're getting 4 nights in an exclusive luxury villa, complete with infinity pool. Most meals included. You're also getting private yoga sessions, the visit to the world leading spa for the Roman bath experience, the visit to all my local hotspots off the tourist track, perfect for you if you're wanting to do videos when you're here, if you're wanting to take photos, or if you just want to bask in the beauty of it all. And you're also getting the wine tasting experience and the style and shopping experience for those of you that would like to kind of update your wardrobe or simply just have a good look at some Italian fashion. The value of this retreat, with all of those included, plus my unlimited coaching, is worth well over £10,000. It's on offer today for £3,000. We have 2 spaces left. And if you are booking by Monday, so that's August 28th, by Monday the 28th, I'll also throw in 3 coaching sessions as follow-up, and that's valued at £1,500. So I'd throw in 3 extra sessions for you just to do the follow-up and ensure that you're on track with what you have uncovered whilst you're here and what you said you're going to go off and do. It definitely won't be at this price again, ladies. I've discovered that there are people bringing people to Puglia for wine tasting tours, and they're charging the same amount that I'm charging for 5 days of unlimited coaching in a luxury villa. So it's not going to go at this price again, but I would love to invite you, if it speaks to you, get in touch, email me, subject line retreats, or go ahead and fill in the application form. And it'll be my pleasure to host you here and have you here if it's a good fit. With 2 places left, we'll be running this retreat either way. And I'd love to hear from you if it's for you. If that doesn't speak to you, I respect that. That's okay. If you still want to go deeper and you'd like to get a bit more of this exploration going, feel free to get in touch. Let's see what we can set up together. I'd be happy to speak to you personally and see what you need. In the meantime, I'd love to bring on beautiful Mandy and Lorraine, because both of these women have had the experience of being in a different career or being elsewhere, or starting without a lot of technical savvy. And I think we'll start with you, Mandy, if that's okay, just to share your experience. Like, how has looking in this direction got you more engaged, and what's been different for you?
So since I did mean your message with you, I've created clients that I hadn't created before, because when I let go of the fear of not having the perfect size list or being caught up in having the right opt-in on my website, I spent and wasted so much time trying to build a list, find the right opt-in, have a funnel, which was a word I just, couldn't get my head around. When I let go of all that and got out of my discouragement, I started to create clients, because as you said, it resonated with me, that they resonated with me. They heard my innate wisdom when I became my ordinary self, and that was very powerful. One of my clients, if I may share with you, she was an executive chef at a very high safari industry, 5-star safari lodge in Africa. And that's not what she wanted. She didn't feel that's what she wanted. But she didn't want to be ordinary and be a stay-at-home mom and bake cakes and, build a business from home. That was just too ordinary for her. And when we became clearer, when we helped her work through becoming clear on what she wanted, and to really just tap into that inner wisdom and that innate wisdom that you talk about, and letting go of her insecure thinking, she came home to being the woman she wanted to be, and that was to have a business from home so she could homeschool her children.
Wow.
And that's what she's doing today. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so, Mandy, for those women listening that, that they're perhaps not sure of their direction, and they're getting a bit lost, like you said you were, in the whole, what do the graphic designs look like, or what technicalities do I need to learn? What would you say to them with regards, just, I guess, moving forward?
Retreat. Really step back, lean away from everything, and a bit like your own retreat that you're offering, it's that time just to allow yourself to be still and hear what comes up. We're so in that storm of what should I be doing, who should I be, what should I be creating. We're not listening to those around us going, I want to be like you. I'm resonating with a different part of you, the real you. We're not seeing that. So retreat, step back, allow that to come forward.
Lovely. Yeah, there is power in retreat. There's definitely, and even if it's not in a physical retreat like here with us ladies, you can also know that there's power in as Mandy said, sort of just stepping back and actually delving deep for yourself. It's huge. Yeah. Cool. Well, it's great that you're working with clients, and it's great that you're sticking to the message you mean. Where can people find out about you, Mandy?
My website is Coral Creatives, Coral-Creatives, or I'm on Facebook, Mandy Marshall.
Mandy Marshall. Okay, perfect. Thank you, darling. I'll go ahead and open up to Lorraine. So Lorraine, you're another example of a woman who, is doing her thing in her way and not getting lost in insecurity about marketing anymore, or a lot of insecurity about, how much income does this land with me, I see your engagement as getting a higher engagement and a less investment in the outcome over time. So, and I know that you've recently launched a school almost, or you're in the process of that. So what would you want to share with these ladies about, about that journey of sort of just not sort of being stuck in the technicalities and the insecurities. What do you see about that?
Well, I've had an online business for the last 12 years, and I got so disillusioned, messed up by the marketeers, with them presenting this grandiose picture of what your life could be and tapping into that dream space and thinking that without that I would be a failure. And so my time with you, Grace, has been unwinding that and like pulling out those deep roots, like a dandelion. If you ever tried to pull up a dandelion, it doesn't just have a tap root, it has these other fat roots, and if you don't get all the root, it pops up other ones, and they're devilish to try to get out. It's like that is so entwined with me. I'm a former counselor, and I decided that I wanted to work in a more empowered model, which was being a women's empowerment coach. And so that's the career change that I went through. And my work with you, Grace, has just been so gentle and so sweet. Like the tears that came to me earlier, just coming home to myself. And I just have a passion for women and men coming home to themselves. I was just on the phone on Monday with a golf pro who's working with me, and we just brought him back home to his purpose in and he just got a breakthrough on how that is his passion. That's my passion. It's just how to see people bloom, to see people come into their fullness, probably because it's been my journey. Filled with all that insecure thinking and self-doubt. And
well, how has your life changed coming back to self?
Yeah, it's that journey of being ordinary, and even in the midst of being extraordinary now, being ordinary. Like I'm leaving as soon as this call's over to go down to the state capitol and film another 11 TV shows for NBC, but it's not like a big deal. It's just like, okay, I'm going to sit there, I'm going to do it, and it's done. And I'm also giving a talk while I'm down there, and I don't even know really what I'm going to say. I already sent the outline to them, and I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm just going to let it kind of unfold. And it's like, well, you have to seed the talk and get them. And I'm like, if I was really smart, maybe, but it just feels exhausting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Grace.
I hear it's a bit easier being you.
Yeah, and just trusting. And I just don't want to be a marketeer anymore. I know I'm doing the online marketing thing, and I adore my online community. I love every single one of them. But I don't want to go outside of myself anymore. I just want to let myself be enough. When you were saying taking care of the dishes and taking care of the cleaning and just enjoying that peace, just being okay with that is very peaceful. And we haven't talked for almost a month because you've been away on holiday, and I kind of forgot how much I missed it. Right, ladies? For those of you who know, that's why the tears just came down my face. It's like, holy F! I forgot who I was again. I forgot how beautiful it was just to be Lorraine. I came back home to myself. Do I have to be more than just someone who loves seeing people bloom? That's my calling, that's my purpose. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have to be complicated and markety and
innocently, Lorraine.
What, Grace?
Innocently, we can get lost. Cool. Yeah. And where can the ladies find out a bit more?
Yeah, well, you can go to earthangelschool.net, earthangel school.net, and it's my online community for women who are sensitive and a little codependent and overgive and overlove, and are ready to get on with their life. They're on the move. They want to get past the emotional bullshit and, okay, I got it, I'm moving it aside, and I'm going forward with my great big life. So it's this community, this global community of women supporting each other, and me teaching and coaching there.
Beautiful. So ladies, I wanted to just bring these two gorgeous clients on because, you know, they're just, you know, they've been in this exploration with me, and they've experienced the change within themselves, which has then led to the change on the outside, which has led to Mandy starting to work with clients, and Lorraine starting to be at peace with herself before she goes on 11 TV shows, you know, and birthing this beautiful school that she's got going, you know. So more than anything, to promote hope, you know, and to allow you to get a sense of what you can expect if you do decide to explore a little more deeply with me, and sort of just allowing that space, hopefully, that you're tapped into now, that Lorraine described. You know, we've not seen each other for a month, but suddenly she remembers who she is, and suddenly the feeling is all there again. And that's what drives the show, right? I am not dissing marketing. I do marketing. I'm not saying don't engage in that world. Do, but do it when you've got that other bit going. Do it when you know what you're about. Do it when you've got a message you mean that you can share in the world, as opposed to thinking that all of that other stuff will save you first. It won't. It'll support you as you go out into the world totally true to who you are, and totally at peace up here, with a spaciousness that your clients, your prospects will feel from you. And that is the invisible marketing. That is the source of what's driving you. And that will take you as far as you should ever need to go. So thank you all for being here. It's been a great call. It's been a longer call than normal. I hope it's been helpful, and I look forward to being back with you soon. Again, it's, you know, it's always a pleasure to hear from you. So even if today's offer was not for you, feel free to get in touch with me by email if you'd like to look at a different offer or something else. If the retreat is intriguing you, now's the time. 2 spaces to go. Love to speak with you. Love to have you on board if it's fit. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you, ladies. Ciao. Ciao. Mm-hmm.